taking crazy pills!
I always feel like we're taking crazy pills here on NFL Talk from across the pond and back. This is Tim and Dom, a.k.a. the Duke of Funk, bringing you week 2 of the NFL. It was fun. It was interesting. It was exciting. There was a lot going on, Dom. A lot of quarterbacks going down, a lot of injuries. But before we get into the fun, how you doing?
Yeah, well, it's nice to know my old nickname is back after you spent the first 5 minutes calling me Shaggy before we started.
Yeah, Shaggy. Yeah, man, Mr. Boombastic, baby fantastic. For those that I can't see, and we have to start putting this on YouTube directly and doing it live. Dom literally looks like the rapper Shaggy right now. And not Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, like he had so eloquently put it. He looks like the rapper Shaggy. But he will always be, to me, in my heart, the Duke of Funk.
Yeah, no, and at least I don't look like Bart Simpson with my baseball cap on backwards.
Hey, here in the States, this is cool. This is cool, man. And I'm only doing this because I couldn't get my headset on my big fat head. What the hell with that on?
By cool in the States, you mean in 1992 or...
But seriously, folks. Yes.
Anyway, seriously, I've got some maths for you to start the show because I know that's what everyone here is me doing maths to start the show. But are you ready?
I am ready for. Do I need to get a pen and paper?
No, you don't need to do pen and paper. I'll do the maths for you.
Okay, go ahead.
So, some stats for you. Okay, 11% of teams that go 0-2 do not make the playoffs, and 40% of teams that go 0-1 don't make the playoffs statistically over the last 30 odd years. However, I'm just here to say and to cheer everyone up that supports. Well, I would say both New York sides, but maybe that might be pushing it. But let's try Minnesota or the Falcons or the Colts that have gone 0-2. But that matters not a jot this year because there is 17 games, so there is hope for you, unless you live in New York, at which point maybe let's start looking forward to next season.
All I have to say is this, Dom. You just blew my mind. I forgot there was. I just forgot there was 17 games.
And our audience who have gone maths. This time, it's early in the show.
It is math crazy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's always hope, and there's an extra game to catch up.
There's always hope, and you know what? I like that. There's always hope, and we're not even going to start off with the Giants, even though that was even though that was the Thursday night game. It would make sense for us to start off the Giants, but I want to get into these quarterback injuries that we've been plagued with right now. But before we get into that, I want to.
I haven't checked who the injuries are, but I'm going to.
Carson Wentz sprained both ankles.
Yeah,
both ankles.
In a way that only Carson Wentz could do
that. Can sprain both ankles. But I want to talk about my favorite team and the team you hate, and that is the Arizona Cardinals, who won and beat the Minnesota, who you just talked about, 34-33. Wow. Have you got to see a lot of the highlights from any of the games this week so far?
I've seen. There's one or two I haven't, but and I'll flag them when I have. I have seen this one.
Did you see the Kyler Murray 77-yard touchdown pass?
Was this the back heel over the top?
Yep. I mean,
back heel, back foot.
Scrambling around, throwing off the back foot, hits the guy in stride, wide open he was, of course, 77 yards.
Of course he was. The Minnesota defense is not all that.
Well, not that, but still, because it went to more of the rookie. Kyler Murray, 29 or 36, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Another big win for my team, the Arizona Cardinals. And I know, yes, it is against the Vikings, but the Vikings have some players. The Vikings aren't devoid of talent. They got Dalvin Cook, they got Kirk Cousins. They got what's his name, Adam Thielen.
You're scrambling around when you the second player of talent you mentioned is Kirk Cousins, right?
Well, I was just thinking that because he's the first person off the top of my head. I should cheat and start pulling up all the rosters, but I haven't had a chance to do that. But thanks for calling me out. But what do you think?
I was calling Kirk Cousins out, not you.
What do you think, though? Arizona, man, 2-0. I mean, what? Come on, what do we think here? I know you're down on them. You're not down on them. You just don't think they're going to be as good as I think they're going to be.
I think that's right. I think they're going to be a very good team. This is, and you'll hear me probably say this if we cover other teams in the division, this is a good division where you need to be the teams outside of your division because the teams in the division are probably going to beat up on each other. the reason I think Cliff Kingsbury is on the hot seat is not because I think his team is bad. It is good. The reason I think it is because it could potentially be the fourth best team in that division, maybe third. But if it doesn't make the playoffs, I think that's the end of the road for him. That said, Kyler Murray called for this to be a playoff team this year. He called for investment in the team. They have done it, and he is living up. He put his money where his mouth is, and he is delivering in these first 2 weeks. What I do want to see him do is go up against top teams. But you can only beat who you're in front of.
And you can only beat who you have on the schedule. And I had a question for you about Cliff Kingsbury. Let's say, because we know the Cardinals they're in a pretty tough division. Even though we're going to get to all the injuries the 49ers just have had occur. Cliff Kingsbury goes 10-7 and they miss the playoffs. Do you still fire him?
I personally wouldn't, no, but I think he will. I think he has to make the playoffs. Otherwise, I think he is gone.
But he would have shown a progression through 3 seasons.
He would have, but you'd also expect to see the progression with the investment in the team this year. And I just think that it doesn't matter what he does this year. If he doesn't make the playoffs, I can't see him keeping his job. I think that's where it's at in Arizona, and that's what concerns me. Is if they do lose a few games, how much what that pressure will do. It will go one of 2 ways. They will either live up to it and they'll own it and they'll do well, or it will go the other way. And my feeling is it will go the other way if and when the pressure comes, if they lose a few games. But right now, he's on cloud 9. They're 2-0, playing really well, and they've got a quarterback we both love, right?
I'm huge. I bought a Kyler Murray jersey. That's how big of a Kyler Murray fan I am. But I want to talk about 2 of your other favorite teams that you just love. It's the Las Vegas Raiders against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Raiders take the game 26-17. Raider Nation is smiling. I know you're not high on Pittsburgh because of the fact that you think they're pretty much done, even though I keep saying they always find a way to get into the playoffs. But how about those Raiders, and how about Derek Carr? Another one, 28 of 37, 382, 2 touchdowns, moved the offense, got the team in the position to win, and he's proven maybe John Gruden may save his job, because I like with Cliff Kingsbury, I think Gruden has to win this year with the Raiders, and I'm a Gruden fan because I worked for Gruden for 2 years, but I think he's got to win.
I wonder whether Gruden will be safe regardless on the grounds he's got that long contract, but whether the GM would go. And it's the GM that worried me most about the Raiders going into the season, to be honest. I thought their off-season was muddled. Yeah, Mayock, thank you. Do you know, I wanted to call him Merriweather. I was like, it's not Merriweather.
No, he's not.
No. But it concerned me. What concerned me about the Raiders going in was their off-season looked muddled. I like the Leatherwood pickup.
The Leatherhead.
Leatherhead just outside London.
Are you referring to the George Clooney movie Leatherheads?
No, Junction 9, M25, just outside London.
Oh, okay.
Someone's now going to email in and tell me it's Junction 2. But somewhere around there. But they lost a lot of pieces on that line. I just thought it looked a muddled off-season. But for me, the Raiders need to prove they can go down the stretch winning games. They often start well. John Gruden teams often start well. Let's see how they do in the...
Now, they did get a road win. This was a road win.
Hang on, wait. Derek Carr, you heard it here on this show first about how good Derek Carr was.
Oh, I love Derek Carr. Derek Carr's my other second favorite quarterback. I mean, we did an ode, I think back in, we've already done like 27 episodes. I think it was towards the beginning episodes that we did our ode to Derek Carr.
I want to say about number 6.
Yeah.
Ironically, the shirt number my son played.
I think we wanted to trade for him with the Giants.
Yep. Yeah. But, look, they're 2-0. Look, the Steelers, for me, I think they're going to be somewhere around 500. I just think the tail end of the season is where they're going to tail off. I just think the time was now to move on from Roethlisberger and start rebuilding that team. And he needs to show me that he can go deep into the season. Apparently, he's fitter and stronger and better than ever. But considering his usual preseason routines of, hey, I'll just cut down on the burgers and I'll actually show up for, do some running, maybe. It's not difficult to be fitter than he normally is coming into the season. But he, last season there was a dramatic fall off. I don't think it will be that bad, but I don't think their start will be as good as last season either. I think they'll be somewhere around 500. It's a weak division. They might sneak it in, but I just don't think so. But a good win for the Raiders again.
Good win for the Raiders. Going to another 2-0 team, which is, to me, is kind of a surprising 2-0 team. And again, another one of our favorite quarterbacks. The Los Angeles Rams beat the Indianapolis Colts 27-24. As we formatally mentioned, Carson Wentz not only sprains one ankle, sprains both ankles, and his availability for week 3 is up for grabs. And I think Jacob Eason? Jacob Esiason?
Yeah,
Eason?
he had a good start, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he was like 2 for something, but evidently he would be the go-to guy
with an interception, which could basically cost them.
I know, it cost them the game. How about, man? You want to talk about a guy that, okay, is Carson Wentz injury prone or just the most unlucky guy? Because these injuries he gets they're just befuddling.
It's becoming a meme, right? Now I know what
it really is. Now you know what a meme is. Welcome to the late 2000s, Dom.
Yes, there's a man who thinks it's 1992.
Eat my shorts.
Nice. You're going to go skateboarding in a second.
I already did.
Taking Santa's little helper out for a walk.
I was trying to.
We're multi-talented.
I was pulling a double ollie, but I didn't want to say anything.
I can do this. I don't know anything about skateboarding.
You don't know anything about skateboarding.
I can do Simpsons. I can't do skateboarding.
But come on, Carson Wentz, injury prone or just the unluckiest quarterback there ever was in history of the world?
Both.
Because because the injuries, man, are just like it's like something, it's those strangest ones. He does both ankles. He has an issue with his foot from high school. He tore off his left thumb. It's always something like that.
Oh, yeah, hang on, sorry. I've just got my crystal ball out, and I've seen that he's going to be available next week until game day, and about an hour before kickoff, he's going to walk down the stairs and miss them completely and break, both wrists.
The scary thing is he might. I mean, he was playing well.
He was playing well.
But I have to admit, he was taking a beating in that game. I mean, the one thing about Carson Wentz, you always have to give him 100% credit on, he hangs in that pocket. To his detriment, he hangs in that pocket.
Yeah, that he look, Carson Wentz, I never thought was as bad as he was last season in Philadelphia. Funny as it was for us as Giants fans, that he had a bit of a poor season, but I never thought he was that bad. I don't necessarily think we'll see the Wentz of the Super Bowl season. Obviously, he didn't play in a Super Bowl because he was injured.
He missed the other playoff game because of injury.
Yeah. Apparently he's getting married next month, but he might miss it because of injury.
He fell down the altar. He fell on the altar, I should say.
I was going to say fell into the altar.
I was going to say that would be Carson Wentz. Stop picking up poor Carson.
But yeah, look, I think he is a decent quarterback. I think he is a quarterback that could take that team far. We said it before, right? It was a difficult division to call between them and the Titans because they're both so injury prone and have, and therefore you don't know what you're going to get. I think the Colts are the best 0-2 team right now, to be fair. I think this was a really good road win for Matt Stafford and those Rams.
But are they the best? Are they the best 0-2 team without Carson Wentz? Because you don't know how long he's going to be out for.
Well, that is it. And I said before the season, I think they need to bring in a veteran quarterback to back him up because you can't guarantee he's there for 17 games.
No, can't guarantee at all.
They haven't done it, and it could cost them because the Titans, we might cover it later, came back for a comeback win.
Yeah.
And now they find themselves behind. I think the Titans lost week 1, if I remember rightly, but I can't quite remember now off the top of my head.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, but they're one game behind already, and that could be the difference at the end of the season. But having said that, the Rams, home or away, doesn't matter which, and is always going to be a difficult game because that's a good side this year. But yeah, there is an issue there, and I don't like Eason as their backup quarterback.
No, I'm not enthralled with that. But not
the Brissett who's with them recently did much better this week.
I was going to say Jacoby Brissett played much better, but we're going to break into what I like to refer to the idiot special. That is going to be the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. The Patriots, of course, took this game 25-6. Zach Wilson kind of he didn't fall down to earth; he crashed down to earth. He's like a Russian satellite.
Yeah, let's give him credit. Those first 2 drives were impressive as long as you're the Pats defense.
I was going to say, if you were the Pats defense, that was... You know what's funny? I did a video, because everyone knows, it's a shameless plug, Online Big Blue Sports Entertainment, does a giant channel on YouTube. I did a video today about the Pats and their defensive backfield. And I said, you know what, and maybe you... it's just the fact that they know how to disguise their coverages so well. And I've never really seen a team, and I never really thought about it till after the game. I've never really seen a team that has that ability. I mean, they, at one point in time, you would think they were in press coverage and then they were in a cover 3. And then you would think that they were going into a cover 1, and then they were in press coverage. I mean, it's amazing the way they disguise their packages, and a lot of it is because these guys have been playing together for a while. But I mean, I give kudos to Belichick's son for what he's been doing with that, because we're having a problem right now here in New York with Patrick Graham being able to disguise his coverages, because everyone knows when he's playing the soft shell zone.
You mean all the time?
Yeah, all the time. But I mean, I have to give them props. I mean, like I said, that was, to me, watching that game was, I mean, it's not only that Zach Wilson is a rookie, but they just befuddled him with what they threw at him and what looks they gave him in coverage. I mean, and then Mac Jones doesn't have to really do much. He's 22 of 30 for 186, but, you know, it's
probably a good job he doesn't have to do much.
Yeah, and that's what they want to do. They want to play defense like they did in the early 2000s and make Mac Jones the young Tom Brady from his first couple of years.
Yeah, I was going to say when you brought up the Pats, I thought it was a fascinating video. I listened to it just before we came to do the show, and I was by pure chance, the Pats was the last sort of batch of highlights I watched before this, because obviously it's a bit more difficult over here with the time zone difference and working. But yeah, the Pats did what they always do to a rookie quarterback. They befuddled him and confused him, and he threw 4 interceptions in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and what worried me preseason about Wilson was his decision making. It's still early, and that was one of the better defenses he's going to come up against, and one of the better coaching teams he's going to come up against. But I said last week, you know, I thought initially Pats v Dolphins was going to be sort of where the division was won and lost in the battle for second there. And then I thought about it more and thought, no, I'm not sure it is, because they tend to get better. I don't think this necessarily tells us anything different. I don't ever for a second thought the Patriots were going to lose against the Jets, but that defense looked really difficult to read, exactly as you said it. And I listened to that video after and was like, you nailed that spot on to far more detail than I ever could. And I'm glad you brought that up and really went through the detail then, because I think that's a really good take on the Pats. And as you say, they're going to throw Jones in and he's going to game manage them, and they're going to rely on that defense to win games. And I really like that line. Yeah. By the way, the O-line is very, very, very good.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. I'm like, and I give all the, like I said, you got to give the Pats the props, and the Jets they are the Jets. And speaking of the Jets, though, we have to jump over to Carolina.
So really quickly on the Jets, I still think that is a team and a franchise going in the right direction. I mean, you can't go in the wrong direction when you're as bad as they were.
I was like,
I think they've been really unlucky with injuries.
When you're in the basement, there's not, I mean, unless you're going to go down to the foundation, there's not much place else to go but up.
There isn't, but I think there's a lot to like about what they're doing in that team. I think, but it's going to be a really long season for them this season with those injuries.
I think it's going to be a really long 5 years for the Jets. Because I don't think Zach Wilson's going to I think they let the guy go to Carolina, who we're going to talk about next.
I think we said it earlier on, and it was one of the things I said. If I had the Jets, I would have traded my number 2, and I'd have kept.
Darnold. Because Darnold had some balls yesterday, man. I mean, he had some passes, and like I said, he beat Carolina at home 26-7. It was a game, if you look at the stat sheet for Darnold, 26 of 38 for 305. He had the 2 touchdowns. He had the 1 interception. I mean, he had the nice touchdown pass to DJ Moore. He looks like the guy, you know, he showed flashes with the Jets. And he looked like the guy that if we ever got put on a good team, this was going to happen. And I'm not saying yet that Carolina is a good team because I'm not convinced with them yet. But, I mean, he had a good game. And like you and I both predicted, it was going to happen sooner or later. And Jameis Winston came crashing down to earth. Again, like the Russian satellite.
Jameis is somewhere between week 1 and week 2. All right. I mean, it's not a surprise he threw some interceptions. But I've always had a feeling that, the Panthers are not going to win the Super Bowl this year, although they deserve to win the Super Bowl for that week 1 show with the, I don't know if you saw it, with the Panther jumping all over the stadium.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. I mean, admittedly, when it comes to technology and IT, I'm impressed by, someone that can turn their mobile phone on. But that looked pretty cool to me. But yeah, look, I thought the Panthers have a really balanced offense. I think they run the ball well with McCaffrey. I mean, you'd like to think so. He's one of the best running backs out there. But, Donald's got some nice receivers and he's finding them. He stopped seeing ghosts all of a sudden. But actually what impressed me, and I've watched quite a bit of this game because, I've said that I think the Panthers are sort of a potential wildcard team this season. I actually quite like their defense. I think they rushed really, really well and put the pressure on Winston. And some of those interceptions came because he panicked a little bit and went to those rash decision makings to try and make the plays a little bit.
I'd like to see them play a team with a little bit different talent.
But that's exactly what I was just going to finish with. Exactly that. I think they're 2-0, but they played 2 games they should have won, and they have won them. But let's see them go up against a better side. That said, the Saints are no mugs. I think similar with them to the Steelers. Not quite sure what they're going to be, but probably somewhere around 500.
But you said it best though, and we've said it a million times before. You can only beat the teams that are on your schedule.
Yep.
So and I think and you're right because that's exactly what Carolina did. They beat the teams in front of them. They beat them pretty handily last week and this week. So I mean, it's they are another team. If you want to look at a team that's heading in the right direction, to me, that's the Carolina is probably on the upswing.
And it might be that I picked them a year too early, but you never know. But the defense does worry me slightly about them. But they were really good against the Saints, and the Saints aren't terrible, by the way.
No, they're not terrible. But you got Jameis Winston as your quarterback. I was just watching a replay of Darnold with his first touchdown pass when he was rolling to the right and then threw a perfect strike on the on the move, for a touchdown. So that's something that may haunt the Jets for the next 5-6 years if he continues to maturate.
It was their big mistake. I would have traded that second pick and got a king's ransom.
Now, speaking of teams that you can only beat the teams on your schedule, and speaking of a game that should have been won and should have been stolen from a divisional opponent at their own home stadium, we're going to go Washington Giants 30-29 Washington. Oh, Dom, I don't want to talk about the penalty at the end because you don't lose a game just off a penalty. I mean, the Giants had the opportunity. You intercept the ball and you play it safe at the end of the game to go get the 3 points instead of trying to go for the jugular. But Dom, what's going on with the other New York team? I mean, talk me off the ledge. We're 0-2. We play the Saints, and I've said this before. If we beat the Saints, we're 1-2. But there's an opportunity with our schedule to lose like 9 in a row. So talk me off the ledge here, Dom. Especially the way this team is playing.
I think the feed's dropped. I can't hear you. We might need to move on.
Can't move on. Can't move on.
Look. I said last week, I tried to find a silver lining last week. The issue we had with Daniel Jones, right? And this is not on Daniel Jones at all this week.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Was he made the fumble at the wrong time. He made one fumble. We get on him for fumbling. He made one last week, but it was a crucial one. This week, and I've got 2 things I want to talk about with the Giants. This week, I thought Daniel Jones played really, really well.
Exceptionally well. Not exceptionally, but he played better.
Yes, so that's probably a fair assumption. I think he put up enough points to win in Washington, particularly with that defense in Washington. What I do think is that coaching staff does not have faith in Daniel Jones, because if it did, we would have gone out there and we would have tried to go for the jugular and not given Washington.
I want to ask you a question about that, because I already know what my opinion is on this. Do you think it's Jason Garrett, the offense coordinator, does not have the confidence, or do you think that's the edict is coming down from Joe Judge?
I don't know if Garrett has a confidence in Jones or not. I think, but ultimately, and you said it all week, and I couldn't agree more. And it annoyed me last year when people were saying it's Jason Garrett's fault. It's Jason Garrett's fault. Jason Garrett had the same weapons, we said it before, as Daniel Jones last season.
Yep.
So I don't know if Garrett does, but there is no way that that game plan is not run past Joe Judge at all.
And I
it comes down. Look, head coaches go, this is the way I want the team to play. This is what I want you to buy into on defense, offense, and special teams. That is what most head coaches, I assume, do. It's certainly what Joe Judge does. Everything about his personality screams that. No, Judge doesn't have confidence in Jones. Now, that is not necessarily his fault. He wasn't the head coach when he was drafted.
Right.
But no, you can't blame him. But Daniel Jones showed he does have the performance in him. The issue is he doesn't do it consistently. But this is not on Jones. Our defense right now is the complete opposite of what you articulated earlier about the Patriots. You know exactly what they are going to do time after time after time after time.
You know, and
some of our key players look really out of sorts, and we are missing Dalvin Tomlinson so badly. And I said, do not get rid of Tomlinson, whatever you do. And we did, and that D line does not quite look the same.
The D line doesn't look the same, but it's as the gentleman on online Big Blue Sports Entertainment on YouTube, all talking all Giants, as he so succinctly put it, you can tell what the coverage is. I mean, it's not even funny when they're off the ball and off the receiver, they're sometimes 8-9 yards deep in the defensive backfield. So it's not even like you can come up a little bit and fake that you're going to be you're going to go into press coverage.
Yeah,
it's automatically
D-line, but it's a secondary that is actually not performing at the moment.
It's the secondary. We're not holding up as well as we used to against the run, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're getting burned so much with the pass. But they're running, and this is what scares me about the Atlanta game. They're running wide open in the middle of the field. I mean, we don't have anyone that can cover a tight end. Even our safeties who tried to cover the tight ends last year can't do it. And then you got, like I said, I'm not thinking that Kyle Pitts is going to be the new Kevin Winslow or Mike Ditka. I think he's going to be a good tight end. But to see him running down the middle of the field wide open, that scares me a little bit.
I was going to say it's a good job Atlanta don't have any decent tight ends.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But yeah, look. Do you know what, though? There is the good news is, and there is some good news, and I'm going to be the voice of optimism here, is that the performance was improved against Washington. And I think Washington are better than Denver, who have impressed me, by the way, this season. They've been better than I thought they would be. But, that is the good news. And also I had us going 2-0. But we have to, it's a big game now. Both these sides next week are 0-2, and one of them's going 0-3.
Right, exactly. I mean, one of us is going 0-3. That defense has to get. If that defense gets better anywhere near where it was last year, suddenly there's a lot more optimism around the Giants. But we have to win a game, and we have to find a way to not lose. And I'm getting worried though that we're that 0-3 team.
I had us winning. We are where I thought we'd be 0-2. I thought Denver would be a lot closer than it was. But we do have to win this game. It's a big game. And I'm not as confident as I probably should be.
Now,
sorry, can I ask about Washington, though?
No, because I want to ask you a question. You can ask about Washington in a second. I'm going to cut you off here because I want to get your opinion on something because I haven't talked to you in a couple of days because you've been busy with work. And I want to get your opinion on this. Is Joe Judge losing the locker room right now? You have Kenny Galladay yelling at Daniel Jones on the sideline. You got Kadarius Toney coming out, saying that that the ship be lame, that he's not getting the ball, even though he hasn't done anything. I mean, you and I both have more receiving yards in the NFL than he does because he's got negative too. But is Joe Judge losing this locker room already 2 games into his second season?
I think it's too early to tell. I think on the 2 instances you described, Golladay, I think, has a legitimate NFL career behind him. I think he is the franchise number 1 wide receiver. He wants the ball. I think that's competitiveness rather than anything else. I think he probably should have considered where he was as a pro and should know better and not necessarily done it
that's
where he
that's
is.
an excellent point. That's an excellent point.
But I've no issue with that. As for Tony, I wasn't sure on the pick in the first place. It wasn't where I would have picked the player. It's not necessarily Tony. But if you're picking wide receiver and your best wide receivers, the best 3 wide receivers are off the board, I'm not sure I'd have gone wide receiver there, having traded down. I think there were better options with that pick. But by the by, that doesn't really matter. We picked him. He does not have the right now, in my view, to go out and criticize everything that's going on in the New York Giants right now when the guy has barely been on the practice field. He can't even show up in the right shoes to train. COVID, okay, you could say maybe he was unlucky, maybe he wasn't. I don't know how he picked it up, but blah, 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 blah. But until he practices, he doesn't have the right to be out on the field. I like the fact that he has to prove he's good enough to get out on the field, to get out on the field. I think that is right. And he needs to put up and shut up until he does something sensible and good and starts winning games.
Is Joe Judge losing the locker room?
But is for Joe Judge losing the locker room? It's too early to tell.
Well, I'm only asking that because Joe Judge had his press conference, and the Tony Instagram post already came out. And Judge mentioned that he talked to the young man and, all this blah, 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 and everything's fine. And then not more than 15, 20 seconds after Judge left the podium, Kadarius Toney, another Instagram post, blasting the New York media for getting the story wrong when all they did was quote his own Instagram post.
I mean,
after he talked to the head coach, he's still on Instagram.
Stupid is as stupid does. But sometimes you have players like that can't. I don't necessarily think that Judge has lost the locker room. What I do think is worrying right now is there is a heck of a lot of noise around the New York Giants and not a lot of it is positive. And that often doesn't end well. You talk about, look, I'm not saying the Packers are going to be bad this season by any means, but it is never ideal when you're the subject of all the off-season talk for the wrong reasons. And that, well done, your nachos are right. They're not wings.
My nachos are here.
Your nachos are right, and they're not wings. But where are the mozzarella sticks?
They don't have mozzarella sticks at Winberry.
No, because you sent your wife to the wrong restaurant and they didn't have mozzarella sticks. So it's on you.
it's you know what? I'm going to, because they call this ASMR. When you hear people eat.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
That's supposed to get you more views. I don't know why. I was told that.
I mean,
she's talking about nachos.
Yeah,
I'll have the nachos later.
But yeah, let's move off the food that you're eating and disturbing me greatly. The visual image is no better than the non-visual image, by the way. But yeah, definitely don't do that.
Seafood.
Yeah, it's what I tell my daughter to stop doing.
I know, that's why I did it.
A mouthful. But no, I think it's too early to tell. He may have, but I think it's too early to tell. The issue, and you've been saying it all year, is when you are the hard-nosed, old-school coach making us do stupid things, when you're losing, that's going to get old real quick.
Going to get old rapidly.
And we need that win.
Yeah. So what was your question about Washington?
Taylor Heineke. I'm not convinced he's the answer, even though he had a good game. How do you think they're going to fare? I had them winning division this year, but they've just lost Fitzpatrick. How do you think they're going to go?
What's the
game with Heineke?
It was a couple of years back. 2 years ago, it was Nick Mullins for the 49ers. Took over for Jimmy G.
Was this the first time, the second time, the third time, or the fourth time Jimmy G got injured and someone had to come in to play for him?
This was the Carson Wentz time. Nick Mullins had a run. They didn't win a lot of games, but he had a run where he played well. And Tyler Heineke actually kind of reminded me, not only because of his build and the way he plays, of Nick Mullins. And I thought to myself, this kid throws an interception. The Giants kick the field goal. They get the extra. I mean, they get the ball back. And what does he do? He just calmly just drives the team down the field. I mean,
you have to give him credit for the way he bounced back.
Yeah, I mean, that to me was telling. And I honestly, I know I make fun of him. I know I make fun of Heineke, because I kept calling him Heineken. But he may be the answer until Fitzpatrick comes back.
Yeah, he may be. So, and I should have clarified what I meant. I don't think he's a long-term starter in Washington, which is what people are saying after that win. But
well, I don't know if he's long term, but I think he can hold the fort down until they come back.
I think he's a very capable backup, to be fair. I don't think he's more than that, and it'll be interesting to see how they go. It's a poor division, so they could still be enough. But I think the Cowboys that everyone had in the bookies as favourites of the division, I was like, no, maybe they come up on the rails if Fitzpatrick's out long term.
Wait a minute.
And it's amazing we're saying that Fitzpatrick is going to take a team to win a divisional title. By the way.
Now, wait a minute. You have, things are flying in here. Wait, you have...
Is that a red flag?
You have bookies? What did you say? Yeah. I was like, you have bookies? Like, what's going on over there? I didn't know
betting shops.
I didn't know. Is sport betting legal in the UK?
Yeah, it's been legal since we got electricity. So for the last 18.
Well, no, NFL sports betting wasn't legal here for till usually like 3-4 years ago.
Oh, I was joking about it being legal about 2 years ago when we got electricity.
Yeah. I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know. I was actually being serious. That wasn't an asshole moment. I was actually being serious because because we only. I mean, like I said, legal NFL sports betting has only been like 4 years now here in the States. That you could actually go to like a sporting parlor or a casino and bet on an NFL game.
No, I mean betting in football and horse racing and all sorts have been legal for God knows how long.
Well, horse racing and all that
I
here.
Thought about it being illegal, if I'm honest.
Horse racing and stuff like that has been legal here, but the NFL had a whole big thing. That's why they got in trouble, if you don't remember, a couple of years back with the fantasy football, that the players couldn't be involved in that because it was considered betting. And then they just changed the rules like 3 years ago.
Fair enough. No, I mean, I don't know when it became legal or not in the UK to bet on the NFL, but
I was just curious about
I've
it.
never known it not be legal.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not a big betting man.
I was going to say, are you a big betting man? That's probably
which, as you can tell, my predictions is probably a good thing. But by the way, we'll see where we are after week 17.
Yeah, that's true.
When the Panthers are in the wild card and the Cardinals are second Kingsbury.
Oh my goodness! Don't even. Now I want to.
We made some bold shouts, but we'll see what happens.
I want to talk about the team that beat the Giants the first week. Denver Broncos, 23-13 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Teddy Bridgewater. It was a Teddy Bridgewater game. He was 26-34 for 328 2 touchdowns. They look, and I know it's the lowly Jaguars, but they look good.
I haven't seen this game. All I will say is that a lot of people were tipping them as dark horses, and I was like, I'm yet to see that. But I didn't see I didn't see this game. But Bridgewater's got them 2-0, and there seems to be good vibes coming out of that team at the moment. But what I am most impressed with Bridgewater about is his Twitter handle or whatever it is, Bridge H2O. I really like that. That impressed me. So I'm well behind Teddy just for that name. But
we all know now. You know what a meme is.
Yeah, well, I genuinely.
So now you know it. So now you know what Twitter. I'm moving my camera so Dom doesn't have to watch me eat. So now you know what Twitter is. Wow.
I know. I'm not actually on Twitter, or at least if I am on Twitter, I don't know I'm on Twitter. But yeah, someone did genuinely have to explain to me what a meme was about a year, 18 months ago, because I was like, I don't know what this is. And also a GIF. Someone had to explain what that was as well to me.
That's something you get at Christmas.
Yeah. I'm 30, whatever I am, going on 90. I really am technologically inept. But no, I didn't see the game. All I know coming out of that from what I've read quickly is that Jacksonville are relying on Lawrence throwing it too much when they could probably do with generating a ground game, and that Denver were clinical and managed the game and never really looked in doubt. But I'd be grateful to be enlightened because you said you caught some of that game.
I caught most of the game. He threw 33 times. He did not look sharp at times. Lawrence, that is. He throws a beautiful ball. I mean, he throws a beautiful ball. But you're right. They should be running a lot more than they are. James Robinson.
I heard Lawrence did a lot of running, but that's because the O-line couldn't protect him.
That's because he can't. That's because he can't. But he only ran the ball twice for 22 yards or 21 yards. They have James Robinson, the undrafted free agent last year, that rushed for over 1,000 yards. Why they're not just trying to ground and pound a little bit here in Jacksonville and then run some play action with Lawrence. I don't know. I don't know what the Urban Meyer philosophy is, but this was a game that was 23-13, but it was dominated by the Broncos. I mean, this game was never. I mean, I think the closest the game was in doubt was when it was 7-3. You know, when
they scored the early touchdown.
Yeah, they got the early touchdown. Jacksonville, nice pass play to what's his name, Marvin Jones. But after that, there was nothing there.
Do you know what? All I can when I hear Marvin Jones, all I can think about is a song "Calling Mrs. Jones." Calling Marvin Jones. I don't know why it just comes up every time I hear his name called.
I think of Marvin the Martian.
That's what that guy's name is. We were playing a game at the weekend, and I couldn't remember what his name was, and because his picture appeared on the card, and I couldn't remember his name. That's excellent. I can pretend to be really knowledgeable tomorrow morning and pretend it came back to me.
Should I ask what card game you're playing that Marvin the Martian's
I have
involved?
no idea. My daughter got it out of the box.
Okay. All right. I thought it's your daughter. Okay, because I was thinking you were a bunch of adults sitting around looking at Marvin the Martian cards.
Yeah. We were there betting, 20s, drinking whiskey, chasing shots with
Marvin the Martian.
Disney cards or Warner Brother cards, it must be, because it would have been like Bugs Bunny and the like. But
now now we have to jump in because we're running long again today. I want to jump into two quick games. Buffalo against Miami. Buffalo 35-0. They come back to win this. Not come back, but they come back from the previous week with the loss.
I was going to say they came back from 0-0.
They came back from 0-0 to pull this one out of a close one, 35-0. Buffalo looks like the Buffalo team that we saw last year. Miami just, I don't know what Miami's going to be because Tua's out with the rib injury. But like I said, I was high on Miami. I'm not saying that I'm not high on Miami anymore, but I did want to just mention one thing because I am a genius. Gregory Rousseau, Mr. 305, back in Miami. Dose sacks.
Three things. One, Will Smith.
Only three?
Will Smith rolled out the red carpet and said, "Welcome to Miami" for the Bills. Another pop culture reference from the 90s. What can I say? We're doing well this week. But no, I mean, look, that's a really impressive win. Doesn't surprise me the Bills won at all. I thought last week was a bit of a blip. Wasn't concerned about them. Still one of the best two teams in the AFC. No question for me. I mean, they beat up on a poor Miami O-line yesterday, by the way. But I did jot down Mr. 305 for you because I was like, if you don't bring him up, and knowing you'd definitely bring him up.
I was bringing him up.
But yeah, we said he was raw coming in, but a good start for him. But yeah, the Tua injury, let's see where they are. Finns, it was a really bad defeat. And I said before the season, I wasn't 100% sure how this team would go. I was worried about some of their injuries. They had some injury-prone players. I know it can happen to anyone, and I'm not quite sure it's going to be there. But like you, it's only week 2, plenty of time. And there's still a lot of talent.
And they're still 1-1. Miami,
exactly. And they got a really good away win. We shouldn't forget last week in New England, by the way. So we mustn't forget that. But I still think that my view on Bills take the division, Pats take it second. I've seen nothing in the first 2 weeks that suggests to me that that's not going to be how that division finishes. This was a bad loss, no points at all, and it's not like Jacoby Brissett is the worst backup in the world, right? And he had a long time in that game to get something on the board, and they couldn't do it.
He couldn't move the ball whatsoever. For as good as the win was in New England, this is a really bad home loss.
Terrible performance. Terrible. Literally, worst performance of the week. No question for me from any team. That was that bad. But it's still early in the season. Let's see if they can bounce back. Let's see what they do next week before we write them off. But that is not a good win. I'm not convinced they trust in Tua either. By the way, we were talking earlier about Jones and whether the coaching staff trust them. I don't think they trust Tua, and I don't think there's anything massively wrong with Tua.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with Tua.
I don't think he's elite, but he's perfect. He's he's probably an above average quarterback, and let's not remember last year was his first season off a severe injury in his last year in college as well. Let's give the man a chance, but I'm just not convinced they trust in him. I don't know what you think on that, but that was my view coming in, and you hear all the trade rumors around him and stuff. And
I like Tua. I still like Tua, but like I said, he's got he may have multiple rib injuries. So I mean, I don't know what that does for his status, but
I thought it would make throwing the ball next week quite tough if his ribs.
Yeah, if you can't really throw if the ribs hurt. Last game I want to jump into is the Seattle Tennessee game, because that was one of the late games yesterday. I mean, Tennessee Titans bounce back 33-30. I did not think they were going to win this game in overtime. I did not think they were going to pull this one out. I thought Russell Wilson was going to do what Russell Wilson does, because he put up that 21 spot in the second quarter. What do you think, Dom? I mean, are both of these teams for real, or is Seattle on the downslope?
I think we said it preseason. Both of us sort of said that Seattle, at some point, they need to start going down and they need to start refreshing things there. And we both thought maybe this is a season where that happens. I thought because the 49ers might stay injury-free, which is obviously looking a smart pick right now with the fact that they've a plethora, to use your favorite word, of injuries this week. But I think Russell Wilson is still a very, very good player, but just feels like something needs freshening up there in Seattle. As for the Titans, if they stay healthy, they might better take the division. But it's like we said, it's who can stay fit. But you got to give them credit. Derrick Henry was unstoppable in the last sort of half of that game. I
mean, unstoppable is like, in some ways that's an understatement for the way he was running that ball.
Literally a bulldozer running through. The defense you might as well have had me trying to stop him when I'm 5'2" and I weigh nothing. It literally looked like men against boys. With
35 carries, 182, 5.2 yards, 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. He was impressive. Really, really impressive. If they get any sign of tune out of Tannehill, which Arthur Smith has done over the last few years, then that offense is really good. It's a defense that worries me with them, but a really good win for the Titans. That game looked done.
Oh, I thought it was. Like I said, I thought there was no way that Seattle was going to lose the game.
No, I thought I was going to give my son really good news and go, "Hey, your team won last night." And they're 2-0, and then that turned out not to be the case.
Well, we are running really long again today because that's just what we do. We try to keep it under 45 minutes, and I think Dom should wrap it up, but I think something needs to happen first. I don't know what it does, though. I don't know what happens this part of the show.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
Oh, that's the draft, baby. Yeah, with the special Dom sound effect.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
As Dom is just blowing it up because it's been a good show. So as always, we give Dom the opportunity to give the final thoughts as he gets to easily look at my shoulder this whole time because I'm trying not to let him watch me eat. Because we always do the show where it's late Dom time, but it's dinner time my time. So Dom, what do you got to close it out today?
Well, as you give me the cold shoulder, I actually thought the button was quite appropriate because I want to just slip out of the NFL quickly and into the college game. But there is an NFL bent on this. So, I mean, I don't know a lot about college football. We don't get a lot of college football over here. But USC sacked their head coach, right?
Yes.
And there's been a lot of talk about Urban Meyer taking over, which I just don't buy unless he's been really, really miserable in Jacksonville. But there was also talk about some coordinators like McDaniels or Bieniemy maybe taking the role. I don't see why, if you're one of the top OCs or DCs, you would go for the college role mid-season, even if it was a head coaching job. If you think you've got a sort of Super Bowl like Bieniemy will presumably think he has. But at the same time, a head coaching job in college is a clear pathway with people like Matt Rule and Urban Meyer coming through in the last few years. So I didn't really know what your views were on whether anyone will drop out of the NFL to take that coaching job or whether one of the smaller colleges head coaches is doing really well will come in and take that, and what that will mean for that college and therefore the players that come through and into the NFL in the coming years.
First of all, it's USC. So yeah,
what did I say? Sorry.
No, you had it right. I'm saying as it's USC.
Sorry.
It's not like someone's going to North Carolina State. Nothing against North Carolina State, but this is USC,
one of the big colleges,
one of the big programs. And if you're a coordinator making $1.5 million, and someone says to you, you can be the head coach for USC at USC. Here's $6 million a year. I think they're going. And Bieniemy's already got a ring.
I didn't realize the pay difference was so much, but that will be a big factor.
Because again, if it's a smaller college, you may make like $2-3 million a year. But at USC, you're going to make a minimum of $5 million a year, and you're probably going to get a minimum of 5-year contract. So you figure,
and a chance to build your own program.
Yep, and you get a chance to build your own program, and it's a major university in California. You would be stupid if they came a knocking. First of all, they have to get approval from the NFL team to even interview, but it would be psychotic for them not to take the job at USC because of the fact that there's only 32 jobs available in the NFL. There's 255 Division I teams or something like that. So you would have to. I mean, to me, I'm going to be a Trojan. I'm going to USC.
Yeah, I mean, USC I did know was a big program, and obviously, like I said, there was a clear pathway from college going to NFL. I just wondered whether the fact it was mid-season would maybe the teams won't let them, but whether there would be some sort of
the team may not
staying until then.
Yeah, the team may not let them, but it's like I said, it's a major college program, and if they have the opportunity to go, I guarantee you they will take that opportunity. If they will take that opportunity to go and go off. And ride off in the sunset. And to your point, it will also probably, after 3-4 years, if they decide to leave, will vault them into a choice of NFL jobs if they're successful at USC.
You know, especially if you're someone like Bieniemy, I suppose, you know. And I was thinking of him, would he want to go when he's got a shot at another Super Bowl?
He's got a shot at another Super Bowl, and he probably wants a head coaching job.
But at the same time, he can't get a head coaching job, and he's probably deserving of a shot.
I was hoping the Giants were going to sign him when they signed Judge, but the only problem was he made the Super Bowl, so he wouldn't have been able to sign with the Giants till after the Super Bowl.
By which time we'd hired Joe Judge.
Yeah, so, and I understand the Giants' perspective. The Giants wanted to get someone in so they could start their offseason.
Yeah, especially as by the time the Super Bowl's ended, it's not really in the grand scheme of things that long until you then end up drafting, and you want to be in a position where you're not getting that in so near. But yeah, no, that was fascinating because I didn't know sort of what your view would be on that. You know, I knew it was a big job, et cetera, but
very big job, very big job, huge job. I mean, that's like one of those top college programs that, you know, coaches like the Giants used to be. You know, in the NFL, everyone, you know, you always thought that every head coach wanted to go to the Giants. If you're a college football coach, Florida, USC, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, you know, those are in Penn State, Notre Dame. Those are the places you want to go. Those are the places you want to get the job.
No, great. No, genuinely fascinating. And it'd be interesting to see how they go. By the way, isn't this something? And they repeatedly keep sacking their coaches like 3 games.
Oh, they've been looking for a head coach basically since Pete Carroll. I mean, no, seriously, they've been really have. I mean, they've probably gone through at least 497 coaches, and that's probably, my math might be a little bit off, but you know, that's probably what. I've
just Googled it. You were off. It's 476.
I knew I was close. I knew I was close there, Dom. But you know what we're going to do?
Hey, look, maths to end the show. Maths to start and end the show. It's great.
Math is at the end of the show. This is online. This is NFL Talk from across the pond and back to the fourth power. Dom, again, enjoyed it. Enjoyed every week. And we'll see everyone next week as well.